SimWorld, what it do, what it is, you know what it is. Turn your volumes up loud. It is time for the number one show in SimWorld. This is BLAZIN Takes. I am, of course, Rick Blaze, and I'm joined by my good buddy, Steve. How are we doing? It is Monday. What's going on, brother?
Monday, best day of the week according to some. I don't necessarily
Yep.
disagree, but I don't agree either. So here we are. It's Monday, baby. We're keeping it rolling. We actually have our last couple Intercontinental teams to discuss today, and I think at least one of these, if not both, is one I know you're going to be excited about talking about. But let's start off with SimWorld Asia Pacific. Now, I'll preface this team preview before we really get into the thick of it. They had an interesting offseason. You know, Coach Matt came over and he was AWOL. We didn't hear from him. He let some guys walk. He almost lost Sun Chung Ju, who was supposed to be kind of a
Hell,
big prospect.
He lost him.
Yeah, I'm not going to say he almost lost him. He lost him. He lost him. They lost Steven George. He's not coming back, who was their big defender inside. And he just wasn't anywhere to be seen. Now, you know, new coach or was the coach before, but Shiro Lee has returned. They were able to get Song Chung Ju back because of, you know, the whole visa issue. So let's take a look at this roster and see who we, you know, are kind of expecting the main guys to be. When you look at it, Song Chung Ju is definitely he's one of those guys. The issue with him is, as we know, he likely won't be available for away games or stateside games, that is. Not sure if he'll be able to play other Intercontinental region teams, but we know he won't be allowed to play in the States. So that he's a key player, but he's also you don't want to say that because he'll be around sometimes, sometimes not. To me, the main guys to watch for this team are Kai Newby, JD Reyes, and newcomer Devin Fields came over from beyond the arch. Great facilitating point guard. He can score. I think he's going to kind of be something they've been looking for. They had, you know, Jacoby Reyes, who left SimWorld altogether. He was kind of running the point for them. Kai Newby's not a point. Kai Newby he's a two. He's a scorer. He doesn't get a whole lot of respect for what he is, I think. I'm very high on Kai Newby. So he's their main guy. And then, obviously, they brought in three other Fields. The whole Fields family has taken over this team. And of them, I think Le'Veon Fields has a chance to be a lot better than we expect. He's going to be right there with Victor Soto. They're both very versatile guards, if you will. And this team has a lot of those versatile guys. The size is something that you kind of question. Leonardo Fields is their only true big man at 6'11". Jin Song Dang, another big man at 6'8", will likely be the starter. But they're kind of lacking in that. So where do you see this team kind of going with after an impressive season last year?
Well, I'll say this. First of all, let's talk about the captain obvious. That's the Sung Gun Ju. Probably saying his name wrong situation. Hey, do I think he's a good player? Yes. He's young, he's only 15. Do I think he's going to move the needle for Apex this season? Absolutely not. Please get off the gas. I don't know where the Sung Gun Ju train started. I don't know where it aborted. I don't know where the people punching their tickets in. But please, if that train is passing by, please, my hand is not out. Do not grab me on that. I do not want to sit on that train because that's the bullet train.
Well, that's it. Right. He's a flashy dunker. In the offseason, we saw a lot of highlights. And I think that's where it's coming from.
Hey, and that's cute. Well, a couple of dunks a game don't
do it.
And look, the young man's 15 years old, so he has a chance to grow and blossom into something even greater than what he is right now, than what we see right now. So I don't want to diminish what he can be. Right now, he has like a Dennis Smith comp for me. A few highlights. He's gonna play solid, but he's not gonna really really move the needle, except for those dunks. But the team, Apex as a whole, like you said, have a lot of really interchangeable pieces. I do think, you know, Kai Newby is a guy. Of course, you got JD Reyes and all of the Fields, a field of Fields. I don't know I think this is one of the few teams that I think they're going to end up being similar in record wise as they were last season.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know if they're going to make that kind of run like they made this past last season as far as when they get to the rest of one. So already shocking some folks. I don't predict that happening. But I predict the record being similar to this thing. I think they've lost some things. They've gained some things. And I think once it's all said and done, I I think the team is pretty much right where they were last season.
Yeah, and
As far as what they added and subtracted.
the only thing I think they really lost, and obviously Jacoby's a big loss, but the reason he doesn't register as much of a loss for me is because what Jacoby was a 6'5" guard who could
Mm-hmm.
play down low a little bit. He could defend 1 through 4. He could facilitate. They have a lot of guys who can do those things. Victor Soto is going to step up into a big role. We saw him kind of be the guy who could do similar things to him. JD Reyes can do a lot of those things. I think Devin Fields is going to help ease that. And when you really look at it, Stephen George was a great player for them. He was very impactful. Here's the thing, though. Leonardo Fields is a similar size, and what Leonardo Fields is good at is exactly what Stephen George was good at. So I think they didn't subtract much. I agree with you on the Song Chung-ju thing. I think realistically he's the 5th most important player on this team. 6th to me if Oliver West and or Le'Veon Fields really take off, which I think they have a chance to. But, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind he's behind Kai Newby, J.D. Reyes, Victor Soto, and Devin Fields. So, at best, at the moment, and like you said, he's got a chance to grow, but at the moment, he is the 5th player in terms of importance to this team. If you ask me, and you could argue Jin Song Dang because of their lack of size. Jin Song Dang's one of those dogs.
He may be number one in importance of selling tickets. So
Well,
from
yes.
from that perspective, he is must-watch TV.
Absolutely. And I think Kai Newby's right there with him. I think Kai Newby's going to be better than he was last year, and I think people are going to kind of remember why he is ranked top 10 in a lot of rankings. But overall, I kind of agree. I don't see them necessarily getting a whole lot better unless if the other 3 Fields brothers, who I'm very high on Le'Veon Fields, but if the 3 of them can actually come out and be really effective and show that chemistry on the court, and Leonardo Fields can come out and be that defensive anchor, I could see them being a little bit better. But what I will say is I could see this team having better chemistry because of that. Because you got 4 brothers out there, but they all have to provide something that will get them playing time. Otherwise, that chemistry is not going to show up on the court. So, yeah, interesting. I would probably put him at about the same win total as last year. It'll just be interesting to see how Shiro Lee manages the rotation going back and forth from having a player to not having a player. So we'll just kind of have to see how that goes for him.
Yep, for sure, I agree.
And moving on to our next and our final Intercontinental team, SimWorld Africa. Now, this is a team a lot of people are excited about this year. There was some talk, and after Basketball Without Borders Africa, we saw a lot of people talking about it. Pierre Dupont originally left at the beginning of the offseason, wasn't sure he was going to return. He's back. He's one of their main guys. Mm-hmm. I see. We can talk about this real quick. The 2 guys for them are Kola Abdul-Rauf and Pierre Dupont. Those are their guys. Those are the guys that are going to make or break this team. But even that being said, they do have some other guys that I'm kind of looking out for. One's the addition of Ethan Letterman. He's going to add some scoring punch, some shooting, I think, for Kola to kind of facilitate too. So I really like that. I'm also very high on this kid, Abraham Kasango. 6'11", 195, kind of a slight frame. Not a kid. I mean, he's 17. He's going to be kind of their, other than Pierre Dupont, he's going to be their big interior defender for me. And then another guy who's a great interior defender, but also has kind of a deep post game. His game actually reminds me a lot of Pierre Dupont is Alhajimo Osborne. 6'7", 239. So he's a little bigger than Pierre Dupont, but he does a lot of things very similar. How do you see this team kind of playing? Like, what's if you're the coach of SimWorld Africa, what are you scheming up?
I'm glad you mentioned that. I think the coach did a terrible job last year for SimWorld Africa. He could have squeezed more out of that orange than what he did. But I think SimWorld Africa overall had one of the best recruiting off seasons in all of SimWorld. And why? Not because they got the biggest names, but because they got the pieces to fit the parts that was needed. A lot of coaches come out here and get a bunch of guys just so they can say they got a bunch of guys, but they don't really get the guys that fit the pieces that's needed. SimWorld Africa did that. What did they have? Not have last year. They didn't have shooting. They went and got Letterman. They didn't have. They was lacking in size. Well, they went and got Kasango. They didn't have another guy down low that can really take the load off for Pierre Dupont. So Pierre Dupont's kind of like a mid-range, low post kind of. He has a Rodney Rogers comp for me. Uh,
Okay.
and then when they got Mo Osborne, they went and got somebody who's a fierce bruiser who probably comes to the game and plays with no shoes on. He's that kind of guy. So they got all the pieces they needed for there. I'm really, really, really high on Team Africa. I know as far as international teams, everybody likes Team Europe, so on and so forth. To me, Team Africa, if coached correctly, oh my God, if coached correctly, they are the number one team in international. I'm not counting North the North. They are
No,
not
I mean
counting North. That's
they're
not
not in the region. They're
international.
not in the
Right,
region. So
right.
so
In that
you're
region, international.
so I'll ask you this, Rick. I know we're doing team previews, but I'll ask you a little question, not regarding only SimWorld Africa. Are you taking SimWorld Africa over Oceania to win the Intercontinental region?
Yes,
All right. Well, there you
I
go.
think that I think Oceana's gonna be more exciting.
But SimWorld
Oceana go.
Africa poses almost a more complete team when you look at it.
Yes, they have a more. They have the most complete team in the most important places that's needed for me. Team Africa is the most complete team in all the intercontinental teams in the division. Yes.
Okay.
If I'm the coach, I'm running I pick and rolls. I'm letting Cola getting off. And Cola's a willing passer, so he's just gonna find an open man now. Either Letterman, and then he's 6'5", so he's gonna have the advantage over most guards. Hell, I wouldn't even mind putting him in a post a few times.
Yeah, I
And just
mean he's
let
a
him
big
let
guard.
him
He's a big
operate.
guard.
Let him. He's 6'5". We haven't seen him up close, so he could be 6'6", 6'7" by the time the season starts. Who knows? Put him in the post, let him operate out the post, let him pass the ball out the post, kind of like a Steve Smith type of game. Although he can't really shoot, his shot probably got a little bit better, but he's really not a shooter like that.
That's my
So,
biggest concern is outside of Ethan
yeah,
Letterman, they don't have a lot of shooting.
correct. So free throw line down is what somewhere Africa is going to live.
Yep.
Besides Ethan Letterman and a few other guys, and also don't sleep on Amara of Freeway.
Yeah.
Amari Freeway.
He,
He does a little bit of everything. He can shoot a little bit. He can bang down low a little bit. He can do a little bit of everything. So I think they have a complete team. I expect them to finish. Assuming the coaching does his job, I
well,
expect them to finish number one in Intercontinental.
yeah, and I see that. I like the team they have. I see them being kind of a bruising team, like you said. Like they've got Pierre Dupont's big, strong. He's going to play down low. Mo Osborne, really similar player. Those guys are going to beat you up all game. And then you've got two guys 6'10" and above. Kasongo is a pretty traditional defensive big man. I'm interested to see how they use Khalid Ali. He is 6'10", 212, so likely will be used at the 5 as a big man. But he defensively is incredibly versatile. He can guard, I would almost say, you don't necessarily want him guarding a quick point guard, but he can. He can guard all 5 positions if you ask me. He's a great perimeter defender, especially for his size. And I think that's going to be useful to them, especially when you have your bruisers are 6'6" and 6'7" in DuPont and
Yes,
Mo Osborne. So they've got no problem handling the big men. Maybe with a little lack of size, but if that length can be used on a perimeter guard, that just kind of it messes up a team's scheme because you're not going to let you throw him on a facilitator and he can guard them decently. And the thing is,
right.
that guard's not going to be able to get passes off over that length. So
Yeah,
I like what
I
this
agree.
team brings. Like you said, I think they're going to be a bruiser. They're going to beat you up all game down low. I only worry about them if they were to get into a shootout with a team that has a lot of shooters. Because as we know, 3 points is more than 2 points. So I think the biggest thing for Coach Adebayo to figure out is going to be defensively, how do they keep teams from going on runs? Because I don't think this is a team that's going to play from behind well.
I agree. If SimWorld Africa can keep teams from scoring under 70 points, I think they're going to be top 10 or top 15 in defense this season too. I really do.
Okay.
I think what they lack in size, they make up for with athletic ability. They are athletic from 1 to 5 positions.
Yep.
Most teams can't say they're athletic from 1 to 5. The most least athletic person is probably Ethan Letterman on their team. And I'm not saying he's not athletic. I'm saying he's the least athletic person on the team. But after him, everyone else jumping out the gym. So you're gonna lose to South Africa if you don't have a good shooting night. You're also gonna lose. So if you come to South Africa and your shots not falling tonight, you're probably gonna lose to South Africa.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna be top 10. I said top. I'll put the top 15. Hot take. We're gonna go. Oh, no, let's go. Let's keep it blazing hot. Top 10 defense this season. South Africa. You have it here first.
Well, those are our team previews for the day. Get down there, cuss and discuss. Let us know what you think. Do they scare
Let's
you?
talk
Do they
about it.
not scare you? Did we miss something? But those are the guys to watch for, and just let us know your thoughts.
Hey, and tomorrow we come. So question discussed today. Tomorrow we come at you with a brand new region with 2 brand new teams. Make sure y'all keep it locked.